I want to talk about, okay, this is a story that I'm going to share with you guys. I was going to have Miracle review a show with me, a movie called Kimmy.
Yeah.
And I hated it so much that I turned it off halfway through and put on reruns of Firefly. And just as I did that, I go online and this article was up there about something else they're ruining. Now, this isn't really from my childhood. I was a teenager by the time Firefly came out. Now, Firefly was it's a sci-fi show from like 2002 starring Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, Adam Baldwin, the cool non-Baldwin brother who's very awesome. Alan Tudyk, let's see, who else? Morena Baccarin, who's very like all actors who you still see in stuff now that did very well. Jewel Staite. All of them are people that you would have, if you saw them, you might not recognize them by name, but you've seen them in stuff. Like Nathan Fillion went on to do Castle. He's on a show called The Rookie now. He's a staple in Hollywood. He had a role in the new Suicide Squad movie in the early parts of the movie. He's a friend of James Gunn. Gina Torres went on to do Suits, played the character of Jessica Pearson on Suits.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I love that character.
Alan Tudyk was in, Dollhouse and a bunch of other stuff. Adam Baldwin was in Chuck, and then went on to do the Last Ship. They're very much like staples in the television. They're not movie stars, but they're the ones who if you've seen any TV show that's gone on for more than 2 years, they've likely had at least 1 or 2 episodes guesting in there. And this is a show that got 12 episodes before it got canceled, and to this day there's still talk about how it's literally one of those shows that is so famous because it got canceled so soon that it kind of was the early days of like letter writing campaigns when stuff would get canceled and networks would get hate mail from people who are like, why would you cancel this show that everyone loves?
It's a cult classic.
Yes, it's the definition of a cult classic. And
I have never watched this show.
What they're doing is first of all, the show is very dark. Everybody on the ship is a criminal. The Morena Baccarin's character is literally a prostitute. Yeah,
really?
Yeah. She's an escort in the show, or courtesan as they call it. And they're basically space marauders. And the show is very dark, very violent, and they're going to Disneyfy it, and it's going to.
Let it out, Brett.
No, so
this might be on Hulu.
No, they don't. They say Disney Plus. That's the first thing I checked. I was like, please at least make it. If they're going to ruin this. First of all, a lot of these actors, like a Nathan Fillion and a Gina Torres and Adam Baldwin, are very distinct characters, meaning like they don't come along very often. People with that type of charisma. Morena Baccarin is kind of what I would describe as like she's a lot like Gal Gadot. She has that same type of warmth and charisma about her. So it's like they're not actors that you can replace easily if you're going to reboot this. And they're not going to allow it to be dark. They're not going to allow it to have be for mature audiences. If you go and you read like the Wikipedia about some of the stuff that they had talked about doing in this show, there was a scene where I don't even know if we can actually say that on here. That's how.
Oh wow!
That's how it is. But it involves the Morena Baccarin's character getting raped, and
Yikes.
and she has like ingests something that kills the people that rape her.
Oh,
is this like what show was this?
It was a Fox show in the early 2000s, and then it eventually got made into a movie to finish up the series called Serenity. Never saw. Okay, so I'm just saying, like, they're like take stuff that dark, storylines that dark, and imagine what Disney will do to it.
I mean, this sounds cool until you say it's gonna be made by Disney.
Yeah, so I highly recommend. There's only 14 episodes and it's on Hulu. I highly recommend both of you going and watching them. Like you could do it in a weekend, and you'll be like, why the hell did they cancel this? It makes no sense. This was a Joss Whedon show. This was before Joss Whedon became like the stereotype writer. He eventually became where all the dialogue sounds the same. This is very, very different from that.
Well, I remember Big Bang Theory talked about this show a little bit.
Yes.
They were like, why did you cancel this?
This is like one of those things you've heard, likely if you've seen a show that does a lot of pop culture references, this is one of the things that's been mentioned at least once in the show.
One of the most insulting things that have ever been said to me is like, you look like a fan of the Big Bang Theory. I swear to God. It was like one of my aunt's friends, and I knew he was just trying to be nice, and I was like,
Oh man.
I actually like that show.
I will end your legacy.
So it says Firefly was canceled too soon. Released in 2002, the series took place in the year 2517. Classified as a space western drama, the series saw the ensemble cast led by Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, and Alan Tudyk traveling on the spaceship Serenity in search of new adventures. It was an undoubtedly popular series, garnering 4.7 million viewers per episode. Astonishingly, however, Firefly was canceled before it finished its first season. Only 11 of the 14 planned episodes were released, leaving dedicated fans for the show devastated. Petitions, fundraisers, and online forums were created in attempts to save the show from being canceled, but the efforts were ultimately in vain. Remember, this was in 2002, so this was a lot harder to organize, and you can't just nowadays it's very easy to organize your rebellion to the TV gods, but back then they had to just literally write a
letter to the editor.
So it says, however, Disney plans to reboot the
I know, Brett. Let it out.
Disney plans to reboot the series as an exclusive for its streaming platform, Disney+. Disney has acquired the rights to the franchise after their 2018 acquisition of Fox. Firefly seems to be the perfect option to diversify their current library lineup for streaming. Here's what to expect from the reboot. God help us all. The rebooted Firefly will have a new story. So it's not the same. So they're just going to use the name, basically. It says the original Firefly series on Fox was intended for mature audiences. Inara, for example, is explicitly known to be a courtesan in the show. There is also political, social, and economic factors that interrogate the morals and ethics of the character's world and society.
She's going to be an OnlyFans now.
No, it's going to be worse. What they'll do is they'll have her
sex work is work.
No,
they're just going to propaganda.
They'll make it even worse. They'll make it where they never actually talk about it. They're she's just vaguely kind of risque looking, and then men will be around her and they'll never acknowledge what it is.
It'll be subtle.
That or they'll make her she'll be another captain of the ship, and she won't be allowed to have a plot that isn't making her a main character.
They'll only say it in passing.
Yes. So it says, go farther down here. Disney has not confirmed anything about the plot, but there's speculation on how the story will differ. Some routes include picking up right where the series left off and delving into the past of Malcolm Reynolds, who fought in the Civil War against the Alliance. However, it is most likely that Disney will restart the entire series on a more family-friendly note. That's exactly what I want for my shows that were designed for mature audiences. It's I prefer if they made all horror movies family friendly. I just,
This is great news so far.
It's fantastic. Well, Disney achieved a new first in Eternals by featuring the first openly gay character and the first real sex scene. It's unlikely that Firefly will do the same. First of all,
Pause. The first openly gay character?
In a Marvel movie.
Is that true?
Yep. I guess. I mean,
that's not true.
They talk about it like people care. Nobody cares if you're.
That's not true at all. I'm sure there's been gay characters on.
Probably not implied, but never explicitly spoken.
Well, Wanda Maximoff, her son, the one that's has the same superpowers as her.
Isn't Captain America in there?
No.
He's a gay character.
No, he's not.
No. There's a version of Captain America where he is gay.
Wank.
But no, basically her son...
I see the way you look at Bucky.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Right?
Oh, no. Don't start the fandom.
Oh, no. The Winter Soldier. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, God. But yeah, basically her son is the first Marvel gay character.
And here's the thing. Nobody cared. In the movie, nobody cared.
I'm the first gay Marvel character, if you really think about it.
Are you... What's your superhero name?
All this
first gay Marvel guy.
It's all so tedious because I wouldn't care if they didn't talk about it as if they were saving the world by making these announcements. I'm dude, it's 2022. Nobody cares if you're gay. They literally don't. They care that you talk about it like you're somehow doing something groundbreaking. Because you're a movie studio that doesn't actually care about this stuff. Mm-hmm. They care about you. We care about you tokenizing somebody for their identity. That's stupid. But nobody actually cares if you're gay or not. We don't. And it's the first Marvel sex scene. It was the most tedious, boring thing you've ever seen in the entire world. I'm if you're gonna do it, at least do it right. Hire a porn producer to make it. If you're gonna make a PG-13 movie, it doesn't need a sex scene. It's not necessary.
Who was in the first sex scene?
Gemma Chan's character, Icarus, and I don't even remember Gemma Chan's character in that movie.
She's supposed to be Cersei.
Yes. Two unimportant characters in an unimportant movie having sex that nobody cares about because it was stupid.
Sounds like my life.
Amen, brother.
Okay.
So it says...
Too dark.
So it says, it's unlikely that Firefly will do the same. Instead, they might opt for a narrative that would appeal to a more general audience on a certain platform. Joss Whedon will not be involved. Of course not, because we talked about the implosion of Joss Whedon in his creepy scene with where he told Gal Gadot...
She had a...
He's like, English isn't her first language. I don't think she understood what I mean. He gave an interview where he literally, like, because there was all the allegations about him being awful on Buffy and how he's like, all the stuff came out. And then he did like an interview in response, and it just made everything worse. Like, it's like nobody in the world taught him what PR was.
Yeah.
And he goes like, I don't think Gal Gadot understood me. English isn't her first language. And everyone's like, why are you still talking? Stop talking.
They can't stop themselves.
They can't. No, they love it. They love it. So it says...
I gotta take myself deeper.
It started because of Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg in Justice League, was like, he's a racist and all this stuff. And it got blown up into this huge thing where now it's... Joss Whedon's basically canceled from the industry.
Sweet.
And he reaffirms the age-old tradition and premise that you should never, ever trust a male feminist. Ever.
There's just a timer on male feminists to the moment where
it's a ticking time bomb, my friend. Do
yeah,
not do it.
I legit remember the time when I told you that I was watching Mythical Kitchen on YouTube, and the guy who's the cook, Josh, I was like, yeah, he's a proclaimed male feminist, and Brett said, run.
So
run,
it's only days.
Run wherever he's cooking, you cook elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
Have him taste the food first.
Yeah. Do not give him, and if he gives you a drink, he has to take the first sip. Yes.
For sure.
I mean, but he's really handsome, though.
That's even scarier. Mm-hmm. That means he's probably good enough looking to get girls on his own without, doing something creepy like pretending that he's a feminist. No, run the other way. Joss Whedon at least kind of makes sense. Look at the guy. It's like he's like one of the things.
He's tragic looking. Like
one of the things in the article.
I'm looking at the screen and I keep looking back. Like
when he justified when he talks about in this interview about like how he he's like, I had to have sex with these women. These were the women that wouldn't have touched me in high school. And I'm like, if I don't do this now, I'm gonna regret it the rest of my life. And I'm just reading. I'm like, why are you still talking?
You're confessing to this?
Yeah, well, technically he didn't do anything wrong, but it's not like it wasn't consensual. But seriously, why are you talking about this? Where's your PR person?
Nowhere to be found.
So it says, since Firefly was his vision and dream, many wondered whether Joss Whedon would return for the reboot. While Whedon isn't a stranger to creating television properties, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a much-believed series to this day, he also did the much underappreciated Dollhouse, which I loved with... No, Dollhouse? Fantastic.
I think I passed by, reading the summary, and then I was like, meh.
Eliza Dushku play humans have their...
You're a Dushku.
Thank you.
It's a special episode, you guys.
Yeah, it is.
I love you, brother.
But continue.
Okay, so it says
no, got him.
It seems that the allegations of workplace harassment against him might be the reason he won't be returning. Indeed, Warner Media conducted an investigation resulting in swift action from the studio. Whedon then exited the HBO Max series The Nevers, and it's safe to assume that the producers, especially Disney, are cautious about working with him. All that stuff, I almost disagree, because do you remember when all the creepy tweets came out about James Gunn making jokes about pedophilia on Twitter?
There were so many. It was 20 of them.
And they fired him, and then they just waited for it to blow over, and then they just hired him back to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So he's like, if they really wanted him involved, Disney will have him involved. So I don't know if I buy that last part there. So it says, I'm just so sad, because it was a different time. You could make more serious stuff in the early 2000s on these TV shows. The network didn't even want to advertise it that way. I don't remember if it's this article or another one where they talk about all the advertising for the show made it seem like a quirky comedy, but the show's super dark, so it was at odds with the network, which is probably why it got canceled.
Do you remember that Robin Williams movie where he was like a quirky comedian that became president because of a voting error? Mm-mm. That movie was also advertised it's a funny comedy movie for the whole family. It was a super dry drama. A
lot of things kind of fall in that realm of they don't know how to market it. The Truman Show was that way when it came out. Same with I wish I could I was better at remembering this stuff off the top of my head. But there's a lot of things where the marketing is just very difficult because it's such a nuanced movie. I remember when I saw what was it? No, not American Beauty. Did you ever see The Chum Scrubber? No, there's a lot of movies from that, like the kind of like manic pixie dream girl phase of Hollywood, and like
oh my god, Zoe Deschanel,
like Silver Linings Playbook and all that stuff. A lot of movies, not that one specifically, but a lot of movies from that generation were very, very hard to market. Like imagine making the social
phrase, manic pixie dream girl.
Imagine making The Social Network, and they're like, how do we make being a boring tech nerd CEO cool? Like, how do you advertise that? Like, because it's not a documentary, so they didn't know how to market these things, and then that one's an example of when it did well. But they're making there's a show coming out right now called Super. The one about it's gonna be about the rise of Uber. It's called like Super Pumped.
Yeah.
And it's about the rise of the guy who started the company Uber, and they have to make it out to be kind of like the show Billions or
played by Queen Latifah.
It's actually played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but Queen Latifah will do the. I'm sure when they make the remake, Queen Latifah.
Are you trying to bring her back?
She's already back. She's in the Equalizer TV show.
She's never left, you guys.
Again, choking on myself.
Well,
my favorite role of her was as like Denzel Washington's like live-in maid in the movie The Bone Collector. No,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know.
I love that movie. It's from 2000. It's like you weren't even. You were like a year old when that movie came out.
That's true.
So
it's okay. Lindsay Lohan is making a comeback too.
I will not make reference to the fact that me and Lindsay Lohan have the same birthday, which I bring up. Anytime Lindsay Lohan gets brought up, I have to point out that we have the same exact birthday.
Her comeback is a commercial for Planet Fitness.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
It's basically the episode is called "What is Lindsay Up to?" And I'm like, why?
Dude, I'll never forget how MTV had a calendar where they like for like 2 months where they marked like Lindsay Lohan was like turning 18. Yeah. And they had like a countdown.
Wow, that's creepy.
Like, oh yeah, she'll be 18 in a week. And like all the guests were like talking about how she's gonna be 18.
That's really creepy.
And then she turned 18 and she was like,
I'm 18. Wow, that's...
You know what happens now, you guys? And it was like just the beginning of the end.
The early 2000s.
Oh, is yes. Barely Legal still a website that's up?
I
don't know what you're talking about.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Legitimately don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's a website where they do a countdown of like how many days it takes for a girl to be 18 years old.
Only a girl can talk about something like that now. Me and Dane definitely cannot talk about that.
It was like a weird thing.
I just want the FBI to note. I don't know what she's talking about.
No clue.
And I don't want to know.
It's a meme from early 2000s.
Yep. That's because I plopped the chair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's creepy. I'm going to avoid talking about that, but...
But yeah,
the point is they're going to ruin Firefly. It's going to be depressing. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.